Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for tuning in. This is a very, very important segment, and it's an important segment because the reality is that one person committed crimes, one person did not. Hillary Clinton committed crimes. That's why James Comey had to say she didn't intend to commit those crimes. See how that works? James Comey said, well, she did transfer top secret intelligence. She did transfer all that classified data. She did do all of those things outside of the United States government. Oh, by the way, we have no clue how Brian Pagliano did it. Oh, and by the way, Anthony Weiner had, yet more classified intelligence outside of the United States government. We don't know how it happened. But we're not going to speculate as to a motive. We don't know if she really meant to do it. We have no clue if it actually correlates to hiding information because she had a Clinton Foundation bribery and racketeering racket. But we're not going to inquire. We're just going to say that she didn't mean to do it. That is what took place with Hillary Clinton. She didn't mean to do it, don't you know? It was an accident. She just wanted to put her yoga email someplace. And if that happened, if she needed to transfer top secret intelligence outside of the United States government, then so be it. To my super chat, you give me every incentive to rock these live streams. Thank you. With Trump, oh my God. In the days after President Trump fired James B. Comey as FBI director, law enforcement officials became so concerned by the president's behavior that they began investigating whether he had been working on behalf of Russia against American interests. This is according to former law enforcement officials and others familiar with the investigation. Why should you trust New York Times sources when you know the New York Times will always support the editorial board, will always support the Democratic nominee, no matter who it is? Why would you trust an extension of a Democratic National Committee? Why would you trust the New York Times, a liberal publication, along with the Washington Post and MSNBC and CNN? Their only goal is to undermine Trump, not the news, not journalism. It's their only goal. Because it's not even-handed. The last good article they had on Clinton corruption was, in 2015. And if you don't trust me here, or if you think, you're being a little too harsh on the New York Times, why Clinton has to be two-faced? This is literally a New York Times article in 2016. Okay? Literally a New York Times article. Why Hillary Clinton needs to be two-faced. An opinion article. October 22nd, 2016, when WikiLeaks published speech transcripts of Hillary Clinton, where she told bankers, almost certainly donors, that she had a public and a private face. Meaning she lied to her voters. Then, of course, this is a New York Times article. Could you imagine, with Trump, it's this post-truth moment. He lies all the time, but nobody's saying why he needs to be two-faced. And he doesn't even his lies are nothing compared to Clinton's lies. But here, in diplomacy, having two faces is similarly indispensable. Until recently, the existence of the United States. Okay, so hold on. This is interesting. Is it hypocritical to take one line in private, then adjust or deny it in public? Of course, but maintaining separate public and private faces is something we do every day. We tell annoying relatives we enjoy their visits, thank inept waiters for rotten service, and agree with bosses we know are wrong. Could you imagine the New York Times writing about Trump in this manner? Could you imagine this? Could you imagine this? So, and then modern social science makes a related distinction between, they go overboard in trying to justify Clinton's lies. They go, oh, modern social science makes a related distinction between shared knowledge and public knowledge. Public knowledge is information that is out there in plain and undeniable view. Stuff like stock prices. If knowledge is public, you and I both know it. And you know that I know it, and I know that you know it, and you know that I know that you know it ad infinitum. If knowledge is merely shared knowledge, by contrast, you and I both know it, but I am sure if you know and you're not sure if I know, or I'm not sure if you know and you're not sure if I know. I'm not joking. This is like the Cirque du Soleil of logic. Just contortion and my God, just to make Hillary Clinton look good. This is almost as good as the really quickly, I'll do this. I haven't done this in a long time. The article. This is an actual New York Times article. Hold on. They watched a debate. Mute. New York Times. Here. This is the best. Okay. This is another New York Times romance novel. I muted Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton during the debate. I still knew the score. It goes beyond. It's like worship here. This is the New York Times. We're supposed to trust them with their sources, which are completely anonymous. This is what happened during the debate. One of the writers, one of the people they published, watched one of the debates with Trump and Clinton. Mute. This is the article. It was a little shimmy of her shoulders, cheeky, insouciant, accompanied by a big, toothy grin. Her opponent smirked. I'm not joking. This is the actual article. Okay, now that's why the New York Times has a history of doing everything possible to make Clinton look good and hurting Trump. She looked as if she was having fun. He, not so much. The exchange came as the first debate was building towards its conclusion Monday night. What was it about? I have no idea. Per instruction from my editor. I was watching with the sound off. Okay. Alone, no checking my email. All right, so it was for me a silent debate. There you go. And then he goes, it's never ending. Do you understand? It's never ending. It's never ending. It's to the point of absurdity. And it's never ending. Oh my God. It began, of course, with the ritual handshake at center stage. Before the candidates retreated to their lecterns. After the shake, Mr. Trump placed his hand gently on Mrs. Clinton's back. There were different ways to interpret the gesture. Was he being patronizing, trying to assert his alpha male dominance from the get-go, or just looking to demonstrate that he felt comfortable, relaxed, unthreatened by the professional politician? Whether involuntary or intentional, the signal was unmistakable. I'm the strong one here. And either way, they were soon off, discussing the most pressing issues facing our nation. I can only assume. It will be no surprise to learn that Mr. Trump is loud even with the sound off. Oh, Trump is so loud, even though there's no sound. Oh, Trump, no. He's saying wrong. I can hear it from, even if through the mute. Wrong. And he's sniffling. He delivered 90 minutes of increasingly exaggerated pantomime, announcing the presence of someone who is restless, impassioned, emphatic, and at times belligerent. This is the New York Times. Do not call this man low energy. He has an extensive repertoire of almost manic hand and arm gestures. The one-handed karate chop, the accordion, the patented cobra. The performance is so physical with the pincer fingers, the hyperactive eyebrows, and the come on already shrugs that there's not much work left for the words to do. This is this is during the election. This is the New York Times we're talking about. Okay? Exactly. It's 50 Shades. So, it's like never ending. It's like this is what the New York Times does. The New York Times is like an extension. I mean, you want to continue here? Look. Even when even when it was Mrs. Clinton's turn to speak, Mr. Trump couldn't stand still. He fidgeted, he smirked, he grimaced, he squinted, he adjusted his microphone. He grabbed hold of the sides of the lectern. He rocked it back and forth. On his heels, he pursed his lips. He threw his opponent disbelieving sidelong glance, and then an eye roll. He shook his head. He appeared to interrupt repeatedly. He took a sip of water. Oh, on one occasion, I could make out a word. A word. Wrong. That was the best. That was the best thing. It wasn't like Bernie. It was like, I don't want to talk about her emails. Enough with her emails. I can actually win this if I talk about her emails. And then another licking his lips. He's more expressive while listening than most people are while speaking. What a crazy person he is. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the best. And then the best part of this whole thing, which is why you should take the new breakthrough today from the New York Times, or yesterday, with a grain of salt. Which brings us back to her shimmy. Hillary's shimmy. Absent words, it felt like the most telling moment of the evening. A memorable, instinctive reaction to what I imagined must have been a Trump howler. In that instant, it was clear that the debate had produced a winner, at least to those who hadn't actually heard a word. Mrs. Clinton. He had vibrated with anxiety. He had vibrated with anxiety. She had radiated cool confidence. Oh my God. He had seemed to be crawling out of his skin. She had looked uncharacteristically comfortable in hers. Oh my goodness. The reptile wasn't shedding this time. Minutes later, it was all over. Once again, the candidates came together. Once again, Mr. Trump put his hand on Mrs. Clinton's back, this time with a little pat, as if to confer his approval on a job well done. Mr. Trump's family came out to meet him, but they opted not to linger, exiting stage left, while Mrs. Clinton and her husband celebrated the moment with their fans in the audience. Oops, Russia stole the election. Yeah, this is for real. This was an article, the last debate, I believe it was the last debate. I just clicked out of the thing, but I can tell you right now, the article is, what was it? Here. He muted Donald Trump and Hillary during the debate. I still knew the score. So this is the New York Times. The New York Times reporter watched this. So there you go. Oh my God. It's grotesque. You could see the shimmy on like instant replay. Oh my God. It's never ending. She probably sat in the mirror, like in front of the mirror, and practiced that 1,000 times. Nothing Clinton does is like, is not scripted or sanctioned or whatever. Anyway, let's get to William Barr. Newsweek, Trump's Attorney General pick William Barr says there's more reason to investigate Hillary Clinton than the president. For people who are watching this on the upload, 14 minutes in, I get to write the exact 14 minutes in. We get to the article, everyone. And so today, really quickly, before we get to that article, Trump goes off. He goes off. Oh, let's see. I ask you to judge me by the enemies I have made, FDR. Yeah, Comey. Yeah, right. He's just, Democrats aren't going to save you, Comey, when William Barr eventually, the evidence is already there. The evidence is already there, but you utilize this, you leaked classified information. You lied before Congress saying that you exonerated Clinton. You were under oath that you waited until all the interviews were done to exonerate Clinton. You didn't. But here's what Trump, which relates exactly to this, the title of this. Wow, just learned the failing New York Times that the corrupt former leaders of the FBI almost all fired or forced to leave the agency for some reason, for some very bad reasons. Opened up an investigation on me for no reason with no proof that after I fired Lion James Comey, a total sleaze. Funny thing about James Comey, everybody wanted him fired, Republican and Democrat alike. After the rigged and botched crooked Hillary investigation, where she was interviewed on July 4th weekend, not recorded or sworn in, and where she said she didn't know anything, a lie. The FBI was in complete turmoil, see New York Post, because of Comey's poor leadership and the way he handled the Clinton mess, not to mention his usurpation of power from the Justice Department. My firing of James Comey was a great day for America. He was a crooked cop who was being totally protected by his best friend, Bob Mueller, 13 angry Democrats, leaking machines who have no interest in going after the real collusion. So, and much more by crooked Hillary Clinton, her campaign, the Democratic National Committee. Just watch. I have been far tougher on Russia than Obama, Bush, or Clinton, which is true. At the same time, and as often said, getting along with Russia is a good thing, not a bad thing. I fully expect that someday we'll have good relations with Russia again. But Obama came in with a Russian reset. Was that to help Russia? Was he, this candidate that was working on behalf of Russian interests? Lion James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, and his lover, Agent Lisa Page, and more, all disgraced and are fired and caught in the act. These are just some of the losers that tried to do a number on, on your president. Part of the witch hunt. Remember the insurance policy? That's it. This is it. So there you go. There you go. So this actor is like, who is this actor? He's like, the heck with everyone who supports Donald Trump. Like, oh, so peace between North and South Korea. Let's see, prison reform, bringing home Americans from war. Oh, okay. But Obama deporting 2.5 million people. Oh my God, this guy. Are you serious? Oh no. Are you serious? I'd love to debate like any of these people who were like, it's like, they don't have any, his policies. What policies don't you like? Because anything that you say about Trump, Obama was worse. What policies? Obama deported 2.5 million immigrants, and he actually was deporting more people at this point in their presidencies. Oh, you don't like his wall, though? Oh, okay, but a fence is okay. You don't want Obama. You don't want Trump bringing home Americans, whereas Obama sent Americans off. Lawrence F. Insurance policy was no other was no one other than informant A.G. Sessions. Think. You know what? Lawrence F. Could be. Lawrence F. Yeah. Insurance policy could have been Sessions or whatever it was. Insurance policy, Exactly. Exactly. And it's more like that. This is why they have to turn the tables. This is why William Barr has to start a new investigation, because there's been too much lying and too much fabrication. So here, Trump's Attorney General pick William Barr says there's more reason to investigate Hillary Clinton than the president. This is Newsweek. Okay, here's the Newsweek article. And let's go ahead. William Barr, Donald Trump's pick for Attorney General, suggested there was more reason to investigate Hillary Clinton's ties to Russia than the possibility that a foreign power conspired with the president's 2016 campaign. On Friday morning, Trump told reporters that he would nominate Barr, who served as an attorney general under the late President George H.W. Bush, to succeed ousted Jeff Sessions in the top cabinet position. He was my first choice since day one. He'll be nominated. Barr supports broad executive powers. All of these presidents fired people, hired people without any scrutiny, which was likely a draw for Trump, as that was a constant point of contention between the president and Sessions. Amid Robert Mueller's ongoing investigation into Russian election interference. They didn't interfere in the election. It has nothing to do. They still haven't proven Russian hacking. They did not hack Russia. The Russians did not, the DNC. The Russians did not hack the DNC to inform the public that Bernie was cheated. It didn't happen. It's so ridiculous and stupid. Trump publicly shamed his attorney general for recusing himself. Trump publicly shamed his attorney general for recusing himself from the special counsel's investigation and for refusing to shut it down. Barr, on the other hand, has been vocal in his criticism of the Russia investigation. Good. The Republican attorney once suggested that Mueller had made a mistake in hiring prosecutors who had a long history of donating to Democratic political groups. Well, in addition to the Steele dossier being purchased by Clinton and CrowdStrike being outsourced by Clinton, you have all Democrats in the Mueller probe. Is there any semblance of fair play? I would have liked to see him have a more balance on this group. He also told the New York Times there was nothing inherently wrong about the president calling for an investigation. Although an investigation shouldn't be launched just because the president wants it. The ultimate question is whether the matter warrants an investigation. Exactly. Barr has also echoed some of Trump's assertions that a criminal investigation should be launched against Clinton for her Uranium One deal with Russia. Clinton was serving as the Secretary of State at the time of the controversial deal, and it was later discovered that one of Uranium One's owners had donated more than $140 million to the Clinton Foundation. But they say, oh, well, it happened before the deal. So what? The CEO donated during the deal. And Tony Podesta was lobbying on behalf of Uranium One, John Podesta's brother. Lawrence F. You think these people are stupid? They dig up a little, yeah, exactly. Trace a few people while the server links to Uranium One. Lawrence F. Yep. Insurance policies very likely Trump Russia, the whole Trump Russia Mueller probe. Their insurance policy, they have, I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. It's pretty unbelievable. Senator Mazie Hirono of Hawaii said before Trump's announcement that she would have difficulty supporting Barr. She doesn't have to. Democrats don't have to support Barr. It just has to be enough Republicans. They're not going to support Barr anyway. Because here's another person who auditioned for the job by talking about how Hillary Clinton should be investigated. Yeah, that she should be investigated, and questioning the Mueller probe. It should end. You can't have endless. He didn't work with Russia. There's no evidence of that. But what about this? That's not evidence. That has nothing to do with Trump, Russia, Trump hacking the DNC. Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut echoed Hirono's statement and said that he would demand that Mr. Barr make a firm and specific commitment to protect the Mueller probe. Fat chance. Don't hold your breath. William Barr is not going to be pushed around like Sessions, who at this point right now you have to wonder, did Sessions deliberately undermine Trump? You have to wonder if he deliberately undermined Trump. He could have simply formed a special counsel. You'd have dueling special counsels. What's the problem? One special counsel would actually have evidence, a money flow, a server, illegal activity regarding a server that Clinton directly related to Clinton. So you have a Democratic senator who's saying that William Barr auditioned for the job by talking about how Hillary Clinton should continue to be investigated. But I do think there are things that should be investigated that haven't been investigated. William Barr, in an interview with the Washington Post last year, Barr said he didn't think all this stuff about throwing Clinton in jail or jumping to conclusion was appropriate. He goes, but I do think there are things. Well, what is he supposed to say? Lock her up? You can't say that. So he goes, but I do think there are things that should be investigated that haven't been investigated. And one of the Democratic senators said, yeah, he wants to investigate Hillary Clinton. He auditioned for the job by talking about how Hillary Clinton should be investigated. They are covering for the queen of the Democratic Party. They need to cover for Clinton. They must cover for Clinton. They have to. They have to. Exactly, Marlene. Exactly. Great point. Great point, Marlene. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you. Yeah, so Andrew McCabe threatened to investigate Sessions. Maybe started an investigation, but Sessions was just, he was a pawn, and he was just, he had no backbone, zero backbone. He was a political creature whose only goal was to become Attorney General. One question: who allowed the investigation to continue for 2 years? The very person that was placed to beg for the AG position and recuse himself while passing the untethered powers to Rod Rosenstein. Exactly. Exactly, Lawrence F. Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you. Lawrence F., I agree with you. And you have a situation where it's just never ending. It's just never ending. But I love people who are like, anyone who supports Trump's can really do something to themselves. Like, really? So you don't want Americans being brought home because Trump wants that. Democrats do not want that. You don't want America. You don't want 10,000 Americans being brought home. You don't want peace between North and South Korea. You don't want 400,000 manufacturing jobs. You don't want record low Black and Latino unemployment. You don't want a good economy that might be over 3% GDP growth. You don't want that. It's just like it's unbelievable. At least he is he's starting it. That's the thing. Can't do it the next day, but at least he's starting it. You wouldn't get that. That's why Tulsi Gabbard can't win, because Tulsi Gabbard is not a neocon. Democrats will never allow Tulsi Gabbard because she has a spine. She has a backbone. She's intelligent. She's not a justice warrior. She's not, she doesn't complain and cry about everything. She doesn't blame Russia. She is amazing. Democrats don't want anyone like that. Tulsi Gabbard is in 2024, Tulsi Gabbard can win. She would be the first Hindu to become president. Times of India, Tulsi Gabbard announces, I'm going to vote for her in 2024. I am voting for Tulsi Gabbard in 2024. I'm voting for Trump in 2020. Tulsi Gabbard will not win. And if she ever were to win, she wouldn't be Tulsi Gabbard, so I wouldn't vote for her in 2020. There's no way Democrats would allow her to win because they rig the election. Here's a little secret for everyone. Don't tell anyone. Democrats rig elections. They're not going to allow a fair election. You want to know how I know? Because Russia hacked the DNC to inform the public that Bernie Sanders was cheated. Not because the DNC fraud lawsuit, they said we don't even have to. We don't even have to. Thank you, G. Kujillian. Thank you, Colligian. G. Colgian. Thank you, G. Colgian. Thank you. They're not going to allow. They're not going to allow Tulsi Gabbard to win. They'll prevent her. They'll say that they'll try to link her to some dumb euphemism, and then it's like, okay. I decided, okay, so Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, she will run for president in 2020 and would expect to be expansive Democratic field. So this is interesting. Really cool. After taking the oath of office on the Bhagavad Gita, very cool, in 2013, at first in the U.S. Congress, Gabbard said her practice of Hinduism awakens. Okay. She's awesome. Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard is awesome. She's really, really awesome. She's so great that she would never become Democratic nominee. She's running really in 2024. She's really, really running in 2024. I mean, she left the Democratic Party, so, obviously, she left the Democratic Party in 2016. She knew what was going on. She knew what was going on. So she is amazing. The reason the Democrats don't like her is because she's not a social justice like. No, no virtue signaling for me. 2024, she can win. That's my point. 2020, she won't. I never said I was better than anyone for voting for Jill Stein. I didn't tell people to vote for Clinton and then pretended to vote Jill Stein. I went full steam. I didn't virtue signal at all. That's not virtue signaling. Virtue signaling is like, oh, I'm better than anyone because I voted for Stein. I didn't say that. I was just more authentic. Um, but no, Tulsi Gabbard can easily win 2024 because once Democrats lose to Trump in 2020, they'll have to revamp. It won't be the party of bizarre. I don't even want to get into it. Lawrence F., you fail to realize that Ivanka isn't in for the curtain. She will prove to be worthy of running for president in 2024. You know, Lawrence, I think after 8 years of Trump, it'll probably be very difficult to have another Trump. So, Lawrence, thank you. Also, Tulsi Gabbard is an anti-interventionist, anti-regime change. She actually flew to a war-torn nation to speak to a despot. She's pretty awesome. Let's read this article from, okay, Tulsi Gabbard is not your friend. Here. Of course, it's her support for far-right leaders. It's like, what? So they went after Tulsi because they don't think she's tolerant. Oh my God. Meanwhile, she's never said or did anything that would um that would lead one to believe that. But you know, the Justice Warriors. So then this article goes on to quote her and then and then put words in her mouth saying that she would continue Obama's administration's foreign policy, even though she actually opposed the regime change that Obama's administration and Clinton would have continued. So so that's going to be interesting. Oh, why do I care if it's a Democrat or a Republican? I mean, Tulsi Gabbard doesn't. I don't think that she's going to be an anti. You know, want. She's a unique. She would be a unique Democrat because where she wouldn't go after. A gun legislation wouldn't be her thing. Like you never hear Tulsi. Well, let's see. You don't usually hear Tulsi Gabbard say. I haven't heard Tulsi Gabbard say anything after there's a tragedy or anything like that. My main thing is that I want an anti-regime change, anti-interventionist foreign policy, which is what Trump gives. That's why I like Trump. She's not, though. She's really not a war hawk at all. She's not. She's an anti-interventionist. She's an anti-regime change foreign policy. The war hawks are Max Boot and Bill Kristol. They're the ones who run the Democratic Party. So We'll see. 2024 is a long time from now. Democrats can't. Their current state of affairs, they're not going to pass any Medicare for all for the next 2 years. So their voters will be like, "Well, what's going on?" Um, I mean, they roll into 2020 with no Medicare for all bill, no green economy bill, no abolish ICE. So it's actually the best thing possible. She's definitely not a war hawk. She flew to a war-torn nation, spoke to a despot to try to find a way to get our soldiers home. No, not Dianne Feinstein. I'm talking about Tulsi Gabbard. It's okay. People here might like Tulsi Gabbard. Well, if it's Tulsi Gabbard or Paul Ryan, to the Republicans listening, who are you going to vote for? Of course, Tulsi Gabbard, not Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan's the worst. Paul Ryan's the worst. I'm just saying, if it was like even Ted Cruz, like, ugh. It's not that I like Trump because he's a Republican. I like Trump because he's Trump. I like Trump because he's unique and he reaches beyond party, which is what I think Tulsi Gabbard looks like, or represents. So let's see. The Tulsi. Well, I might not. So she got a donation from the NRA, which is good for me. That more than a decade ago. But she has to talk about that. I don't know. 2024 is a long way away. So I have no clue, but I can tell you I like her foreign policy. I definitely wouldn't if she's not pro Second Amendment, then I'll definitely have to look at that. Doesn't seem that she's, but that's the thing also. If she's not going to go, if she's not like, this zealot anti-gun control Democrat, because Connor Lamb isn't, there are Democrats who are not zealots when it comes to that. I don't think Tulsi Gabbard is. But if she's anti-interventionist and the Republican is a neocon, who would you pick? Foreign policy is the most important to me. Would you pick Paul Ryan even if he was going to repeat Iraq and Afghanistan because he had a better Second Amendment record than a person like Tulsi Gabbard? I mean, that's something that you have to think of. It's not like you're just going to vote for any Republican. So if it's Paul Ryan, you're fine with it. What about Jeff Sessions? If he runs, then you're fine. Bruce Tomaszewski, Patrick Leahy, 25. Bruce Tomaszewski. All I'm saying is 2024, if she represents the least the anti-interventionist, anti-regime change foreign policy, I'll like Tulsi Gabbard. If it's an establishment Republican and Tulsi Gabbard, an establishment Republican who would continue Bush and Obama's foreign policy, because the thing is, the people on the left, they have no understanding of what it's not about. It's not just there's no anti-war candidate. There's an anti-interventionist. Trump is an anti-interventionist. That's why I like him. I don't know. I don't think that she's, if in terms of gun control, I think she's more kind of, has to play it up for people on the left. She's a veteran. I don't think that she's going to, she's a zealot in terms of gun control. If she was, I would not vote. I would not think of that. But, There are Democrats who are like Connor Lamb, for example. He's like, I'm not taking any guns. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, she flew to a war-torn country herself. That's pretty good. To speak to Assad to make sure that, oh, you know what? So we don't get involved in that. That's pretty good. She's an Iraq veteran. It's pretty good. She's an anti-interventionist. It's pretty good. I mean, do you want another regime change? Do you want a Democrat to get it? Do you want a Republican to get in office after Trump's 8 years and then engage in a regime change? So that means no more never-ending wars and conflicts where we create more devastation inadvertently. That's what liberals should actually strive for, and Republicans. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Hit subscribe. I have an upload. Oh well, sorry. No, she's not. You know who's it? She's less of a warhawk than Bernie is, who would be manipulated by Bernie. Folded in like a millisecond. He would be the reason I loved Bernie is because I thought that he would bring home Americans. That's what Trump did. That's what Tulsi would do. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Just if it's between Tulsi Gabbard and an establishment Republican, who are you going to pick? An establishment Republican who is the antithesis of Trump? Think about it. Tulsi Gabbard is, I mean, this would be, Tulsi Gabbard is more of an independent choice than an establishment Republican. So, I mean, think about it that way. And she's not pushing Russiagate. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Thank you. William Barr wants to investigate Hillary Clinton. 15th, he gets confirmed. It's a new ball game. Thank you so very much.